Hello, I'm Edward,
And I'm Lida.
and we're interviewing candidates for mayor. While the presidential race distracts everyone's attention, San Francisco's fierce mayoral race has been largely overlooked. We're interviewing candidates to fix that. Today, we're interviewing Daniel Lurie, heir to the impressive Levi Strauss fortune, and a candidate campaigning on accountable leadership and new ideas. All right, then. Mr. Lurie, for your campaign, a lot of voters see wealth as the determining issue, while your opponents criticize you for, quote, trying to buy the election. Your supporters tout the fact they're not politically beholden to anyone. How relevant do you feel your wealth is to your candidacy?
I do not think that is top of mind for our voters here in San Francisco. I think they are concerned with public safety. I think they're concerned with our behavioral health crisis on our streets, and I think they want City Hall to work for them again. We need to stomp out the corruption that we're seeing every day at City Hall, and we need a mayor that is going to hold people accountable and once again be in the public servant in the truest sense of the word, not somebody that's there for personal profit or personal gain, but a mayor that is there to serve the people of San Francisco. And that's what I think the voters want.
Got it. And I think that's a pretty good segue into crime. Right now, San Francisco's violent crime rate is 168% the national median, according to law enforcement. What is your general plan relating to crime and public safety?
We need first off, it's my number one priority. Nothing else matters if our young people, young families, our elders don't feel safe walking outside. We're here near 9th and Irving. We need more officers out walking the beat, getting to know their merchants, because businesses continue to be broken into time and time again. And people have actually stopped calling the police. They're worried about their insurance premiums going up. So for me, it's about fully staffing our police department, our sheriff's department, and 911 dispatch office, and making sure that we have more officers that look like the communities that they serve and speak the language of the communities that they serve. That's the only way that we get true public safety again.
All right, and to expand on staffing, how would I know some of our candidates have talked about how not a lot of San Francisco kids are going into becoming police officers, and also more officers obviously requires more funding. How would we get more people and more funding for those people?
It's a great question. Right now, it's not necessarily about funding. We are spending more now than we've ever spent, but we are so short-staffed. We should be around 2,000 officers. We're down below 1,500 officers. I did a ride along with the Terraville Police Station, and I asked how many officers were there 6-7 years ago. They said there was 110 at that police station. Today, there's 53. You need a mayor that supports law enforcement, always with police oversight. There always needs to be police oversight. You can have police reform with public safety. And so simply put, we need officers out walking the beat, feeling like their elected leaders have their back. We need to get them out of the business of being our homeless outreach workers and our mental health counselors. That also will help lift police morale. And then you have police officers that are, once again, out doing community policing, getting to know their neighbors and doing police work again. Then they start recruiting officers from other departments. Then we need to work with City College and SF State and universities around this region to start recruiting officers and tell them this is a noble profession. Have housing subsidies, childcare subsidies, and continuing education subsidies. We got to do all of that and recruit more officers into the force.
You talked on housing subsidies. There's a pretty good segue into housing. Right now in San Francisco, we have notoriously high housing and rent prices, with our rent being just over 65% higher than the national median, while housing prices are just over 210% higher than the national median. So what would your general policy be when it comes to housing?
We need to build more. We need to build more affordable housing. And why I'm confident that we can do it is that I've done it. I got housing built on Bryant Street, 833 Bryant. We got a project built in 3 years for $377,000 a unit using good paying union labor. Contrast that with what the city has done in similar projects, 7 years, $1.2 million. We have a broken permitting process at City Hall. The City Hall insiders I'm running against have built up a system. They've exploited it. And now they have the audacity to tell all of us that they're the only ones that can fix it. Well, I'm here to tell you that it takes 33 months to get through permitting in our city. It's filled with corruption because you have to pay permit expediters to jump the line. We're going to shorten that window. We're going to continue to build more housing like I've done before. We're going to do it again for our teachers, our nurses, our firefighters, our creatives, and make sure that we have more affordable housing here in San Francisco.
All right. And for your plan with permitting and everything, do you believe that the Board of Supervisors and other forces at City Hall would be supportive of your agenda? And what would your whole overall plan be there?
Absolutely. That housing project I just mentioned, I had to go around work all the supervisors. We got a unanimous vote to get that building built. That building was so successful, that model, that we now have another project going up at 1633 Valencia. 100% senior housing, about 135 units there. It's going to cost $520,000 a unit and still take about 3 years, much less time than other projects. So yes, I believe that the supervisors want to see more affordable housing built in our city as well.
Mm-hmm. So just to recap, your plan for housing is to make the permitting process easier so we get more built.
That is one part, and then using a model where you have the developer, the contractor, the subcontractors, the architects all agree up front on the process, so you don't have lots of change orders and lots of increases to the bill. There's a few things, but yes, we have to streamline the permitting.
All right. And then similar to, very connected to the housing crisis, right now we have a higher than average homelessness population with just over 8,300 homeless people as opposed to 3,850 shelter beds. What would your plan on homelessness be?
First 6 months, we're going to treat it like the emergency that it is, and we're going to stand up 1,500 disaster relief beds or emergency shelter beds. We're going to offer people shelter. We're going to offer people bus tickets home through the program called Homeward Bound. If someone calls somebody and there's a loved one on the other end, we'll send them home with food vouchers and a bus ticket. Third, you will have more mental health and drug treatment beds. So those that are struggling with addiction or mental health issues on our street will be given an opportunity to get treatment on demand. And treatment on demand means that when you want help, you can get it. Right now, you're turned away 50% of the time. So we're going to have those three options available to people, but there will not be a fourth option to stay on our streets. We have to send a message to the country and to the world that you do not come to San Francisco to deal drugs or to do drugs or to sleep on our streets. It's not humane. It's not compassionate. Those streets belong to every San Franciscan. And last year we had 806 people die of fentanyl overdose in our city. If you're out on the street for too long, bad things happen. That's why we have to make homelessness brief, rare, and one time. And that's why we need to stand up more shelter beds immediately. So if somebody falls into homelessness, we have a place for them to go.
All right, then. Where would these new shelter beds be constructed?
You can do tent structures like the Navigation Center down on the Embarcadero. You can stand up shelter beds within weeks if you wanted to. If there was an earthquake tomorrow and there was 1,500 people out on the street, we would stand it up in a matter of days. So this is doable. We'll have small sites. We'll have larger sites. We'll have focus on, shelters focused just on individuals, just families, women-only shelters, and it should be citywide. We have plenty of places to put up shelters. We see homelessness and this crisis impacting every neighborhood, including out here in the Sunset, the RV parks that we see. We need to make sure that we all take responsibility for this crisis.
All right, then. And a bit of a harsh cutoff here, but as for public transit, do you have any particular policies or plans when it comes to that?
Yeah, it's got to be safe, it's got to be reliable, and it's got to be efficient. Right now, too many of our seniors, I've talked to high school students who were victims of anti-Asian hate on the buses last spring. We need to make sure that people feel safe riding Muni. Right now, the behavioral health crisis is impacting a ridership because you get on the bus and you got people in distress. Riding the buses all day long, causing fear for our ridership, which means less revenue. Less riders means less revenue, and so we need to make sure that it's safe, it's clean, and it's reliable, and increase ridership, which will increase revenues.
All right, then. And for that plan, how would we accomplish that?
Get people into mental health and drug treatment beds. Make sure that we have a fully staffed police department. We have more ambassadors riding the buses. We make sure that people are paying. There's a lot of fare evasion on our buses. We need to make sure that people are paying for their rides. I'm committed to keeping up to 18 free from uni, but others need to pay because too many hardworking people are paying and too many people are taking advantage of the system. So let's make sure that we get people paying again.
You mentioned ambassadors on the bus. Could you elaborate on what you mean by that?
Yeah, you see ambassadors walking commercial corridors in West Portal, out here on Irving. We can do that for our bus system too. While we are short-staffed on police, you can have retired SFPD. You can have people that are trained to be ambassadors, making sure that there's eyes and ears, making people feel safe, not just on commercial corridors, but also on Muni.
Mm-hmm. And finally, for this whole agenda, where would all this funding come from?
Well, a lot of the programs I've talked about actually will reduce the overall budget on a behavioral health plan. Right now, last year, in a 12-month period, 13,000 people were put on a 5150 hold from the streets. They were brought to an emergency room. Then 64% of them were released back to the street. So they just went through the most expensive part of our healthcare system, and nothing was resolved. We're going to have care coordinators at those 8 or 9 city emergency rooms doing warm handoffs to step-down beds and detox beds. That's going to save the taxpayers tens of millions of dollars. And then we're going to also have oversight over our big public works projects and making sure contractors are coming in on time and on budget. We're going to make sure that the nonprofits that we're funding to the tune of $1.7 billion a year of taxpayer money are well accounted for, and that there's metrics and key performance indicators on every contract that we have in City Hall. Right now, there's no oversight, there's no accountability. We don't know if the money is being well spent. Good intentions are not enough. We need to make sure that there's accountability. There will be, under my watch, we're going to save money. We're going to get more bang for our taxpayers' buck, and we'll be able to deliver better services for the people of San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. So most of those savings sound like they come from most of your policies, correct? For your to be able to raise money to be able to then enact those policies, which in themselves save money, would that involve loans to be able to gain upfront capital, or would that require just, I guess, what you talked about, anti-corruption measures to first generate that extra money?
First, you have to have clean and safe streets, because right now we have a crisis of confidence downtown and in some of our neighborhoods. If you walk around here, you see a lot of boarded up windows because people don't feel safe opening a small business here. It takes too long to get through permitting. So all those things that I said before, if you make it easier to get up and running, if you make sure you have clean and safe streets, businesses will come back, both small business and big business. And that allows us to bring more revenue to our city and to our general fund. And then we're able to enact policies that take care of people here in the city.
All right, then. And last but not least, is there any particular reason that people should vote for you as opposed to any other candidates, such as policies that only you are pushing for, or some personal expertise?
I think I have a track record of getting big things done in this city. And if you want change, if you want real change, you have only one option in this race. If you want more of the same, you got plenty of options. You got over 70 years inside a broken, dysfunctional, and corrupt city hall in my opponents. They've had their chance and they've failed. I have delivered. I started one of the largest, most innovative poverty fighting organizations in this country. I brought a global sporting event in Super Bowl 50 here that generated close to $250 million of economic revenue to our city and to our region. I'm the only one in this race that's gotten housing built. And I am proud of my track record. I'll put it up against anybody. And if you want accountable leadership, if you want clean governance, I hope everybody watching will vote Daniel Lurie as their first choice.
All right, then. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
No problem.
Go vote.
Yep.